Tenants and advocates have been claiming that landlords have been pocketing huge profits based on their rental income. But the truth is that more than 91% of that rental income goes to expenses. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of Arizona. So I've told you before that I used to own two rental properties in Arizona. I owned a fourplex in Phoenix, Arizona, and I owned a fourplex in Tucson, Arizona. And I sold them back in 2020, what I thought was a great deal because I made just a huge amount of money off of the appreciation for them. And, you know, it surprised me just how much the properties were going for at the time. You know, I remember back when I bought both of those properties back in 2014, I thought, man, you know, like they were selling fourplexes for like 150 grand. And I was like, oh yeah, this one's expensive. I literally thought that was expensive, but that was right when I was first getting started. And, you know, but I saw the potential of Arizona back then. I just wish I had bought more. Okay. So it was really a good thing. But anyway, a lot of tenants are always talking about, hey, you know, the landlord, you know, they're making so much money, and, you know, these rent increases are, you know, they're ridiculous because the landlord's making 100% profit off of my rental income, putting it in their pocket, and then going and sitting on their yacht somewhere. Well, that's fantasy, okay? That's pure fantasy, and a lot of the tenants don't know that. Of course, the landlords who are watching this video, they know that, but, you know, I think it's important that I go through this article because they do a good breakdown of just how much expenses cut into the rental income that landlords have and what those expenses are. And, you know, I've kind of, you know, conveyed it, but, you know, they do a really good job here as well. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think, okay? Speaking about, you know, back when you first started buying real estate, right? Did you think that real estate prices were high back then? Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter when you started. If you started buying in the 1980s, right? You know, I imagine, like, you know, my parents, they told me that, oh yeah, you know, back then, you know, they bought, I remember the house that I grew up in, my parents, they bought it in 1990 for $49,000, right? And it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, split level in a good school district, nice part of town in Kansas City, Kansas, right? And, you know, I thought that was a lot of money back then, but now, you know, the house is worth over $200,000, and I'm like, wow, you know, if anything, you know, the more time that you have in the game, you know, the longer you realize that, hey, you know, every deal can be a good deal if you just wait long enough. Anyway, let's get into this article. So it's coming from the PeoriaTimes.com, and it says, opinion: rent doesn't go to property owners' wallets. And yeah, it's an opinion piece from a landlord. So, you know, obviously, every once in a while I do read opinion pieces because, you know, landlords, they have great perspectives on situation. And, you know, I thought this one really caught my mind. So let's get into it. No matter where you look in 2022, prices have surged. The cost of a gallon of gasoline is hovering at record levels. The price of household staples like poultry, beef, eggs, and milk have shown double-digit increases. And here in Phoenix, the cost of rent has risen by as much as 30%, according to media reports. Currently, median gross rent in the Valley, a figure that combines the monthly cost of rent and utilities, stands at $1,177 per month, according to Maricopa Association of Governments. With more than 620,000 occupied rental units across the Phoenix metro area, that raises an important question. When residents pay the rent each month, where does that money go? So, you know, obviously Phoenix is not as affordable as it used to be. Not you know, Phoenix, when I moved to Arizona, was cheap, okay? But even at the median cost of rent, they say it's $1,177 a month. That is still quite affordable as compared to California, like in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Seattle, or on the East Coast like Boston or New York or whatever, right? So that's why you see so many people still moving there. Even though it is more expensive than it was before, you have the fact that the median rent is still only $1,177 a month. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize is the property taxes in Arizona, if you're going to buy a house, are relatively low compared to a lot of other places. And on top of that, utility costs were lower as well. That's something that I didn't realize until I moved out there. Yeah, you're going to pay a lot for electricity for air conditioning in the summer, but you're going to save a ton of money in the wintertime, okay? And I pay a lot for air conditioning in the summer here in Nebraska as well. Okay. The 30,000 foot level answer almost entirely to meet mortgage costs, make payroll, pay for overhead, and pay property taxes, and to a little bit of profit for property owners. To get more specific on the subject and to combat the myth that rental property owners enjoy Wall Street level profit margins, the National Apartment Association recently broke down how $1 of rent gets spent in 2022. The results may surprise you. It won't surprise us, but, we already know better. To get more The biggest cost for property owners and mom and pops who own a rental unit or two is the bank loans on their properties. Paying the mortgage each month typically eats up about 38 cents of every dollar paid in rent. With bank interest rates rising quickly, this is a number likely to track upward into next year. So yeah, 38% of your rent goes to just paying the mortgage. Okay, that does not include anything else, just the mortgage. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, all the landlords, they own their properties outright. No, that's not true. The grand majority of properties have a loan or some sort of mortgage on them. Okay, I covered that in a different video where the stat is overall 59% of rental properties have a loan or a mortgage on them. Even so, failure to pay the mortgage is not an option because foreclosure puts owners and renters at serious risk. The next largest cost, operating expenses, which consume 17 cents of every rental dollar, and property taxes, which claim another 15 cents. So operating expenses and property taxes, that's another 32%. So if you add that 32% with that 38%, right, you are at 70%. So more than 2/3 of your rental income is already gone. But that's not all. If you think, hey, the landlord makes a 30% profit, no, that's still not true. Let's keep going. The cost of maintaining rental properties has spiked over the past year, exactly as it has at your house, where supply chain issues and inflation have goosed up the cost of necessary materials, property and liability insurance, and utility payments. Property taxes, meanwhile, represent a double-edged sword. They're costly to pay, yet they help communities across Arizona pay for schools and teachers, roads, and emergency police, fire, and medical services. Capital expenditures on rental properties account for 11 cents of every dollar of rent. These necessary mega projects include HVAC repair and replacement and upkeep on roofs, swimming pools, and apartment community security features. Yeah, so HVAC, when the furnace goes out, guess what? I have to replace it. In fact, I try to replace them before they go out because I don't want my tenants to end up, with a heater or air conditioner that doesn't work at the wrong time. So if I'm in between tenants and I know, hey, I've got this super old furnace in this building, I might just go ahead and replace it. I have to budget for that. I have to put some money aside every single month just to make sure that I have enough to cover these major issues such as, replacing the roof, okay, replacing the air conditioner, replacing the furnace. But people, they don't realize this stuff. They think that everything is profit, or they think that after I spent my tens of thousands of dollars doing all those repairs, then everything is just free money. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. So yeah, with that 11 cents, that puts us over 80%. But let's keep going. There's more. Of course, there's more. With 3/4 of the apartments in our state built before 1999, capital projects aren't luxuries, they're a must. Next, there's human capital. The 10 cents of every dollar property owners spend on payroll, including the front office and accounting help, cleaning crews, landscapers, and security personnel. Statewide, the apartment industry is responsible for about 6,000 jobs each year, contributing about $2.7 billion to local economies. And people will be like, hey, well, small landlords don't have to pay for employees. What do you mean? Okay, you must be forgetting. The smallest landlord, they have one employee at least, and that's themselves, okay? And for every minute or hour that they spend, they should be compensating themselves. There's also small landlords such as me who use property management companies to manage all their properties. So I got so busy, I self-managed all the way up until this year for my properties that I own here in Omaha. And I got so busy, with the YouTube channel, with my full-time job, with my wife and daughter, with, all of my responsibilities that I just was putting a lot of the stuff for my rental properties on the back burner. And I said, I need someone to help me, so I finally, bit the bullet, and now I got a property management company taking care of my tenants. And I think that was the best decision that I could have made. Okay. I already used property management. I have a property management company for my properties in Kansas City as well. But, I never wanted to. I thought, I've got enough time to manage these properties here in Omaha because I live here in Omaha. Well, it turns out I don't, okay? Turns out that, hey, it took more of my time than I thought it was going to take, and I needed the help. And even though I hired the property management company, which does all of the basic stuff, that I still have to do all of the the insurance and mortgage work, and I'm still out there on my own spending my time looking for new deals, etc. So it's not like I'm not doing anything now. Yeah, there's still some management involved in it. Plus the property management company will call me about big decisions that need to be made, the stuff that costs more than the small $500 amount that they have a limit on. But I agree there that, hey, all landlords, whether you own a big apartment complex or a single family house, there are expenses that are required as well for human capital. All told, the above expenses total 91 cents out of every dollar in rent paid in rent this year. The remaining 9 cents will be returned to rental property owners in the form of profit. At a time when many public and privately held companies returned record profits amid the pandemic, while many Arizona property owners collected no rent for months under the federal eviction moratorium, this comparatively slim profit margin can make it difficult for some apartment owners to remain sustainable as a business. And compared to, say, the stock market software sector, where companies like Microsoft turned an average 32.3% profit last year, according to federal statistics, property owners, like residents, still must make every penny count. And that is the point right there, okay? That, hey, landlords aren't making as much money off of that rental income as these tenants believe. And I've been trying to tell people that for a long time, but I have a little bit extra that I want to add, because it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to this situation, okay? Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, when I sold my property, that is where I made the real profit. Okay, when I sold my properties, I made hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of appreciation, and that blew away the amount of rental income that I was making. Not only that, but I used the 1031 exchange to buy more real estate, right? And I didn't have to pay any of the capital gains taxes on it. So in that way, yes, landlords are able to make make a profit, but in order to even get to the point where you're able to sell the property, you have to be able to make a profit to be able to maintain it, or you're going to lose the property to the bank before you're able to realize those appreciation gains. Okay, so yeah, this is a great article. He did a great job of breaking down just how slim the profit margins are on a lot of rental properties.